Oh, greetings there, and welcome back to another episode of Building with Fret. You've caught me on a trip to my branch mine here. Since the last episode, I went caving, and I got a lot of useful resources from that. As you can see here, I'm particularly pleased with all this mossy cobblestone I found from several dungeons. As we were out of it after last episode, working on Twin Stream Village, I'm going to collect as many items as I can here, and we'll meet up at the base. Here we are. Today's episode is going to be a little different to the last few episodes that we have done. We are not going to be working on the Twin Stream Village today. Rather, there are a few projects around the world we have here that I've not completed, and they've been unfinished for a very long time. Some of them more than a year at this point, and I would like to put some effort into trying to finish some of those old projects off. So, those projects are the hostile mob farm, which was one of the first things we did in the world down there, which is still not finished. I want to finish clearing the land around the passive mob farm, because similar to the moss stone that I just talked about, I'm running low on cobblestone. I'm also running low on dirt from all of the projects we've been doing recently, so that's a good opportunity to gather more of that. And I also want to work in this episode on the base a little bit here and see if we can get some progress made in here. So that should be a good goal to work towards, I think. Here we are then at the passive mob area. And this is where I have been clearing out and gathering my cobblestone and dirt from. I've already cleared a lot of it out, as you can see, but my objective today is to get the rest of this all the way cleared out. It's just beyond that mountain there is the corner, so that will be our objective. Let's get to it. You know when you watch your favorite content creator and they suddenly do a cut in a video, and they come back a while later and the project has had more progress done on it, right? That's a common thing. There's nothing unusual about that. Well, that's definitely happened here. That last clip you watched was 5 months ago. I'm sorry, my friends. I'm sorry. I've been busy, very busy, but as you can see, I'm just about finished with the digging here. I've been working on this on and off over the last 5 months. There were some side quests along the way, but we got there. This is the last little bit of stone left. And then we're going to go and continue the episode and do something else. Oh man, this is definitely the longest ongoing project I've ever done in a Minecraft world. There is still some stuff to be done here, even though the digging aspect is coming to an end. As you can see while I'm doing this, there's tons of other useful resources around to collect. Lots of iron still to pick up, coal in the walls. I'm going to be doing that. But I have dug that entire mountain down. Everything you can see on my screen right now has been dug by hand, with lots and lots and lots of iron pickaxes. The reason I chose not to use TNT is TNT destroys a lot of the blocks, and I wanted to build up a good supply of blocks for many future building projects. I've definitely done that. I have over 20 double chests now of various blocks: cobble, dirt, sand, gravel. And here we go, the last block, and that's it. We are done with digging. We have cleared out the entire mountain. Wow. What a lot of effort. Very satisfying to finally get this done. I'll show you briefly here just how many resources we have collected. All of these are more or less full. There's one here. This one isn't quite full. All the others are full. And I've also got chests over there. Most of those are pretty full as well. There's only 4 or 5 chests over there. But all of these... dirt, cobble, a little bit of sand, gravel, you name it, we've got it now. So I will not have a building supply problem anymore. The only downside is all this stuff is here and not at my main base. I'm going to have to think a little bit about how I'm going to get this stuff over there where I really need it instead of over here. The next step for this project now is to collect all the remaining resources around, all the coal and iron and so on. I'm probably going to fill in some of these ugly gaps around the edge, there and there as well. And then I will want to break the blocks around the edges here and start and flood this area completely, all around the edge. This is the peninsula that's left. And then we'll have the water go all the way up to the border here. And that should be it for building the perimeter part. I've still got the island in the middle left. I'll remove that when we finish the passive mob farm itself. Kind of want the grass over there for spreading to the farm anyway, so it's kind of worthwhile to keep that. But everything else, I've also got that tiny little island there to remove. But other than that, everything else is done. So I'm going to dig up these resources, and then we will head back to the base and come up with something else to work on. Next up, for me, I'm going to finally work on finishing the hostile mob farm. Those of you who have followed this series since the beginning might remember very early on, more than a year ago now, we worked on this hostile mob farm. And I never finished it. There are still layers up above that we can add. I've been wanting to do so for a long time. Now seems like a good time to do that. Make it even more efficient than what it is. I brought some supplies here to help me do that. I'm going to use TNT to clear out the last little bit of land before we hit the surface. Some smooth stone just to make everything look pretty. Tools. I've got supplies for food. Infinite spring. So I'm going to get to work. And there we have it. After 3 months of time passing yet again, I have now completed the hostile mob farm. Just been watching it here for a few moments, and it's really great to see all of the items flowing together here. And it's very satisfying to have finally completed this project. Long time coming. I thought I would take you on a little tour of the now completed mob farm. Let's pop down here, firstly. This is my storage room for all of the various drops and items. You can see this is where I stand and I collect them. The reason I stand over here is to allow the mob spawning to take place on the very lowest layers just above the collection room. I have a little bit of space here for picking up items. We get feathers, gunpowder, arrows, and string from this. And we can pop up here, this way. This takes us to a ladder. This is a new ladder. And what we have here is we have... I've got to be careful. Oop. We have these layers this, and you can actually see mobs all the time falling down there. There's a platform in the middle, which is 17 by 17, I believe. And then we have water streams on all 4 sides that push them into a drop shaft in each of the 4 corners. And that goes down to that lava trap that we saw below. And this stretches all the way up to the world height. So each of these, where these dirt blocks are, is another floor. Before we had probably about half of this, maybe, or 2/3 of it, something like that. And I worked my way through the remaining part of the terrain, blasting my way through with TNT initially, and then actually having to build it when I reached the surface. There wasn't too much building involved, as this is located in a mountainous area, but there was still some, more than I thought. Past the cloud layer now, and we can go all the way up to the very top here, the top of the world. It's becoming daytime, perfect time to arrive up here. And this is the top of the ladder. This is the cap of the final floor. I've just got some torches up here to prevent mobs from spawning on the outside. The design is very simple. You know, there's no moving parts or anything with this. It's just building it up, really. I made all of this out of smooth stone, which was very expensive. You can see from the surface, that's how much smooth stone I had to use. And all inside is smooth stone as well. Yeah, it took quite a lot of time to put together. I also have down here a little door that lets me get access to the surface level. I'm sure we can find it right here. Yep, and we gotta be careful. It's just turning daytime. We don't want to get blown up. Yes, and this is what it looks like. This big grey box. We will definitely need to decorate this out at some point and make it more interesting than what it is right now. But it's otherwise, functionality-wise, finished. This design is not one of my own making. I found this originally on the Minecraft forum. I'll include a link to the thread in the description. And the way that this farm works is it takes advantage of a little quirk in that if you build a darkroom trap like this at the 0, 0 coordinate, all the mobs will spawn inside and won't really spawn anywhere else. And that's why we're seeing such efficient rates. I have lit up some of the caves nearby, but I've not lit up all of them by any means. And as we saw there, it is a mountainous area on the surface. So I'm sure there's overhangs and little caves in the mountains and whatnot that mobs could spawn in, but they're not doing so. So whenever I need items now from the mobs, I can come here and collect them. And it's coming pretty handy, I have to say. I could just drop by, pick up whatever it is I need. Arrows, got loads of arrows, feathers, so I can make arrows, gunpowder for TNT. If anything now, I have so much gunpowder, like all of these are filled with gunpowder here. It's the sand that I need now for that. And string. String for bows. I could make wool out of it. It's a little bit inefficient, but I could do so. I've got some other resources here from clearing it out, but yes, all the way down from Y5 up to the world height. A good project complete. Now it's time to think about the next thing to do. What the heck? Did somebody put my hourglass in the washing machine? It shrunk. Huh. What's that all about? That seems kind of strange. It's cool looking, though. I actually think it's an improvement. Thanks, world. It's a pretty nice upgrade. And it's funny that this would happen to me now, because I've been away from this world for one reason or another for a few months here and there, as we've seen in the previous clips. And one of the good things sometimes about being away from an area for a while is you get a fresh perspective on it. You look at things you built several weeks or months ago, and you can sometimes feel a little bit differently about them. And this area is definitely one of those situations right now. I did want to revamp the cave a little bit here and make some progress on it today before the end of the episode. And I wanted to move in the bridges a little bit, kind of adjust where things are. And now that the hourglass has shrunk, I'll actually have the space to do that. So that's kind of a win for me. That's what I think we should do next. I do want to add some new paths in, ready for future areas, and just kind of improve things a little bit. I've been looking at the storage room, and I kind of don't like it as much anymore. It doesn't help that it's not finished, but I've come up with a different idea for a storage room that we can work on. Likewise, the furnace room, I think, could be changed and improved. And I do want to adjust some of the walkways as well. So I'm going to think about that, and we'll see what we can get completed. Well, things are certainly looking better. Just putting in the last 2 buckets of lava there. I've been working on the base quite a bit, as you saw in the time-lapse there. And we've made some really good progress. Pretty happy with how things look. So I've redesigned the pillars to start with, and I have brought them closer into the middle of the cave now. Redesigned the bridges and walkways. I've tried to get everything connected at least somewhat. Hey, get out of here. One more. There we go. Now, of course, that process has not been completely finished yet. I need to add more onto those. For example, that doesn't come all the way down here yet. That part of the pillar is still missing. And it doesn't go all the way to the floor yet. But we've made a good start on it. So let's go up here. And we can see a little bit more of what I have worked on. I added these supports to the bridges, which I think just, it adds a little bit of support, makes it look a little bit more realistic, and also a little bit more interesting. Again, using the slabs here and trying to take advantage of the extra half a block, which sort of creates a more natural curve than just using solid blocks up there. So this is all brand new over here. We'll get to that in a second. And this is the new path down to the tree farm. I have changed up a little bit around the tree farm. I put some nice fences in, as you saw. Kind of redesigned where the logs were. Looking good. Not much has changed down there, so not much to look at. And this is a new path, which we will come back to. Let's go over this way. So I took this out of the wall and I had to kind of reshape the wall back in, which I was able to do just fine. Another path down here for a future expansion, a new room or something like that. This area also got changed up quite a bit. We've got the pillar over in this corner. Not quite sure what I'm doing with this yet, as it's right up against the roof. And then we've got this section, and we've got a new staircase. And I've begun to carve out a path here. This is going to lead to our storage room eventually, which is going to sit up here in the top of the cave. We will work on that very, very soon. But I think this has added a lot more character and a lot more detail. And it's like what I was saying before. Sometimes when you've been away from a project or an area for a while, you get fresh ideas and fresh inspiration. And that's definitely what happened with me here. I kind of realized that the bridges were too spaced out, and it led to a lot of extra space that wasn't really doing anything in the cave. And adding these staircases down the middle has added a lot of verticality to the base, and like I said, bringing in the pillars, adding these supports, it just makes things look a lot more interesting than it was before. I also like the subtle color here, the red and yellow of the lava, keeping things bright. And then we've got that nice subtle blue as well from the water there to add just a little bit of color, because it's all gray and brown in here with the exception of the patch museum there. So it's good to get a little bit of color involved where I can. Now let's take a look at the patch museum, because I also did a lot over in this area. The sign has moved, as you can see. We've got a brand new sign here, the InfDev and Alpha Patch Museum. If you recall, the chest of items was right here. That has been moved. This hasn't changed at all. This is as it was. But you will see the blocks that were over here, they've all been removed now. They've got a new location. I added some flowers and bushes and kept it nice and bright. This area is going to have a boat in it eventually. I tried putting a boat in already, but it seems like the farm animals had other ideas and smashed it up. So I'm not going to be able to do that for just at the moment. Oh dear. I just kind of wanted to create another little part of the Patch Museum that reflects this area, kind of that biome feel that we were going for a little bit along the front here. I added these slabs because I was never sure what to do with the edge. It just kind of ended. I think these slabs just add a little bit of a wall to it and frame the back part of it in quite nicely. I think it looks good from this angle. I tried to keep it kind of loose, like piled up stones, rather than, you know, a perfect constructed wall. And I think it does a lot for this area. It just kind of blends it in a bit better with the rest of the cave. Nice little touch. So all that stuff that was over here has now moved to this area. We've got the new section for the natural blocks, InfDev 2010-0630, the moss stone, and alpha 1013_01. That's the reeds, the cactus, and the clay. The items have been separated out into individual patches, and they are over here. So we've got the first InfDev patch that we played on there. That was everything that was in the game at that time. Patch after, and the patch after. Over here, I've also changed things up quite a bit. The chest that was over here that had the crafted items has been separated out in a similar way into the 3 patches. And I've revamped this area, which is where that staircase is we saw before. Now we have a section for the stairs and the rail, and a separate section which I think looks a lot nicer for the brick and the bookshelf. This will be a path in the future that we can take advantage of into a future part of the Patch Museum or something else. This staircase goes down the other side, so we get an extra entrance or exit to the Patch Museum from a different angle. I added a torch because I did forget about the torch, so I had to move the sign over here. Be careful around that TNT. Ah, there's a zombie back here. How strange. Oh, be careful. I want to knock the paintings off the wall. Were you admiring my gallery? I'm sorry. It's off limits. You didn't pay your entry fee. You did, didn't you? Yes, I thought so. Cows always pay their fees. Zombies, on the other hand, could be a bit more troublesome. This chest is also going to move eventually. I wanted to talk about this chest. This is the original items. So the original wood, stone, iron, and diamond tools. Lava and water bucket, compass, flint and steel, fishing rod, and so on. I don't really like where this is because it doesn't feel special. And these items are special. They tell a story of the world a little bit. And I was thinking, what do I want to do with those items? And at the same time as I was thinking about that, I was also working on this little area, which I've had to change up because of the bridges and stuff. And I was thinking I might put like a little trophy room or something in here where we can have our first tools and armor and special milestones in the world. Maybe we could put some signs down documenting certain patches and things like that. Let me know what you think. I think that would be cool for this little area. We don't have a lot of space, but it could just be a nice little thing to put in there. Kind of tied to the Patch Museum, but more unique to us personally than the world at large and the game at large. This area hasn't really changed much. I can never seem to keep these from being knocked around. I think the animals get in here and knock them around. Or maybe it was that zombie disturbing the exhibits here. But nothing's changed. I've left this as it is for the time being. Obviously, I made some changes to this wall too. I took out one of the paths in order to put the bookshelf and the bricks down. Polished up the roof, finally. This area, if you recall, was a mess for a very, very long time. Now it's actually framed in properly. We've got a lovely wall, the same as the wall on that side now. And it feels like the Patch Museum in this section, probably with the exception of that chest we talked about, is more or less complete. I've also got to put the monster spawner down. But I'm really, really pleased with how this has turned out. We've tidied it up a lot, made a lot of small tweaks, but I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. Up there still needs some work. I haven't filled that in yet. However, this episode, I think, needs to end. I've been working on this episode since last May. It's January now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took so long. I have a multitude of reasons. I got busy with other projects, and I've been busy in the world, as we've seen in this episode, with some pretty large projects. Clearing out the area around what is eventually going to be the passive mob farm took a very long time. Finishing the hostile mob farm took a very long time as well. And for one reason or another, it's just not come together the way I had hoped. However, we have finally completed this episode. Hopefully you had a great holiday season and a good new year. I'm hoping that this can mark the start of a more regular return to building with Fret. I've not given up on this series. I still want to play and work on it and add a lot more cool things. And I'm finding that I've got a little bit more free time again now to work in here, alongside having completed some of the bigger infrastructure tasks, which should let us be more free to work on the fun builds. I appreciate your patience if you've watched this video and watched this series. I know it's been a long time. I'm sorry I was gone for so long. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, and I will catch up with you again in the next one, alright? Take care. Thanks for watching.